All right, everybody, welcome back to the CGDQ 10th anniversary broadcast. So, to recap for those just coming in, this is a redo of Classic Games Done Quick, which was our very first GDQ way back in 2010. So, it actually happened, I believe, January 1st to the 3rd. So, we're just about on that 10-year anniversary of it. So, we thought, why not do it again? You know, we took we took a couple of the old runners that did it way back in 2010, and we also got a lot of new runners as well to do the game. So you get to kind of see how it was back then in its current form. So it's really cool. So up next we have the Mega Man X block. So we're gonna have Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3, all done by LuizMiguel, who'll be running for us. And our commentators for today, which are going to be commentating, is going to be Hetfield and Justin-credible. So, fellas, it's all yours.
Yo, what's up? So, yeah, Louise is going to be running all three games, any percent, and all three of the games. He's been one of the top runners in Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3, and some of the others since like around 2013 or 2014. He's had multiple records in the games you're about to see him play, so we're really in for a treat getting to watch him run all three of the SNES trifecta.
Just getting a few of the technical difficulties sorted, so we'll be almost ready to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the reskill.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have watched maybe some of the original CGDQ way back when, or maybe you happen to watch it recently.
I think I'm in.
Awesome. So have kind of a common trend, as y'all are seeing. Frezzy Man also ran this game, so he ran the classic Mega Man games 1, 2, and 3, and then he did X1 and X2 as well. So quite a lot of games. You'll be seeing a lot of that name Frezzy Man over the course of the weekend, because I believe he did 11 games for the original CGDQ. So yeah, it's quite a wow.
All right. So Luis is getting his controller settings ready, and I think we'll be getting ready to go here in just a few seconds.
Alrighty, so Hetfield or Justin, one of you want to give Louise a countdown, and we'll go ahead and get this thing started?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, Louise, in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All the way from 10, I like it. So X1, the first of the three games you're going to see, is probably the most straightforward of the three runs. The any percent category entails get none of the optional upgrades. There's a few upgrades that you can get in the game as X. You have 8 weapons from the bosses, which are all mandatory. Then you have 4 armor pieces, 4 hearts that increase health capacity, and 4 E-tanks that let you heal yourself. Louise is only going to be getting the ones that are mandatory, which are the weapons, and then he'll get the dash boost upgrades to help him go faster, and a buster upgrade to give him more powerful attacks later on. But here in the intro stage, this stage is pretty much nothing but mashing and RNG. You see him mashing to kill those bees really fast. They can do one of 3 patterns, and depending on which pattern they do, you'll take a different amount of damage during the fight. But Luis has enough health. You need 4 or more after the second B to do another strat later on in the stage, which is we call it task cars, because it was originated from one of the old passes, and he's going to weaken these cars low enough so that they can be killed in one hit later on, and he's going to kill them when he's towards the back of them, and he's going to walk over the top of them as they're moving forward. So you can see the 2 cars spread out there. He pretty much gained that much distance. Saves close to a second.
Yeah, the reason he has to take damage throughout the stage is because you can't win this fight with Val. So once you've reached the 3 HP threshold, he's automatically gonna try to capture you.
Yeah, there's a couple fights like that in the various X games where the boss just has plot armor and you need to weaken yourself throughout this.
Yeah.
Here X gets saved by his friend Zero. Zero tells him that he's not powerful and stuff. Someday he'll be able to become as powerful as him. So after the intro, stage, you can select any stage order you. Luis is going to go to Chill Penguin stage first, simply because the dash boots are in this stage, and you go more than twice as fast when you have.
So before he gets to the dash boots, there's going to be a couple of things that he'll be doing. He'll be doing what's called a slump jump. When you jump from a flat terrain, you have a fixed jump height. But if you walk down a slope and jump, you'll notice that he'll jump a little bit higher, and you'll be seeing him use that mechanic a couple of times right here to move a little bit faster.
Yeah, the downward slopes when you're walking give you faster speed and a higher jump velocity. You'll notice that it's even faster when he's walking up a slope. Once he gets to the end of it, he'll turn around for a split second just to get that downward speed, and then turn back around to carry that speed through his entire jump.
Yeah, you'll see that a couple of times throughout the 3X games. So it's a mechanic that does stick around through the whole trilogy. And now we can go fast.
Yeah, now the speed run begins. Very nice no-stop hallway. There's a 2-frame window to get a double kill on the Flamingo and that flying. You need your Buster Shot to hit both of them at the exact same time. Here's another difficult strat coming up with these snowball throwers. You got to do a really precise combination of shots there to make sure you kill all of them without slowing. Penguin is the first real boss of the run, so your charged Buster Shot deals 3 damage to him, your uncharged Buster Shot deals 2 damage. You'll notice that he's shooting it from far away, the uncharged, and then he shoots the charge from close up. He's just getting a Doppler effect in between those 2 shots. Basically, it just gives him a head start on his charge by shooting it earlier from far away while the boss is still immune.
Yeah, you also notice that he's firing just the normal yellow lemons while he's in the dash animation. That actually deals double damage. So in most cases, it's better to do that than try to charge for a green shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the dash lemon does 2. Non-dash lemon, which you pretty much never want to use, does 1. And then the charge Buster Shot does. And you can only have 1 dash lemon on screen at a time, so you can have 3 shots total on screen, but the subsequent second and third ones are going to be uncharged.
Yeah.
So coming up on Coinger stage here, this is probably the hardest execution stage in the run. The vertical movement is usually the hardest movement in the Mega Man X games, and Luis getting through that first room really quickly. You'll see him going through for these jumps through the ladder gaps, which are pretty precise tricks in this game. It's usually like 1 to 4 frame window depending on which variant of it you're doing. And they usually don't save that much time, maybe a quarter of a second, I think. But if you try to do that as a casual player, you just won't be able to do it.
Louis showing a little trick there as the elevator goes up. If you're within 7 pixels of a wall, you can actually wall kick off of it. But in that elevator area where you have spikes as the walls, if you jump while you're in midair, you don't take damage, but still take the knockback animation. Just don't hug the wall or you'll die, because those spikes can kill you if you touch them.
Yeah, it doesn't actually save any time. It just, you can kind of do it for swag, unless you can actually use that invulnerability to climb the entire elevator shaft, and something that really only saves time for a task speed run.
So let's see how he gets the dance here. You see he's got Kuwanger in a loop here. Until Kuwanger passes half health, he'll constantly do it. But as you see, Kuwanger can continue this loop all the way to the end of his health bar if Luis gets good RNG, and that wasn't actually a bad fight. Kuwanger got pretty much 3/4 of the way before he started his teleport. Then you just have to keep an eye on him and just hit him with the green charge shot until he gets down to 3 HP, and then you wait for a full charge.
So from here on out, the rest of the route is going to be roughly weakness order for the bosses. Every boss has one weapon that they're weak against, and they each have a different one. And well, there will be some mini bosses later on that kind of mess with that order. Sting Chameleon happens to be weak against Boomerang Cutter, which Luis just got from Boomer Kuwanger. And this is a really straightforward stage. You kind of just dash and jump and go to the right.
Yeah, since you're not collecting anything, that's the majority of all the stages. You're going to keep constantly going right. Unless you have a mini boss to fight, which there are a few.
Luis is charging up here. He's going to be going for a precise shot on Sting Chameleon at the start of the fight, which has varying degrees of precision depending on what RNG he gets, so he got it, which is nice. That saves a little bit of time. Bosses have 32 health, and that blue shot does it do 2 or 3 to Sting Chameleon? It depends on the bot.
I think it's 2, because Louis, yeah, the last Boomerang, he had 3 HP left, so I think it's
okay, yeah. Yeah, so start with 2 damage to bring them down to 30, and then it's just 10 more Boomerangs.
Yeah, Buster Charge deals 3 to some Mavericks like Chill Penguin and Boomer Kuwanger, but it only deals 2 to the other ones. So now we're at Eagle.
So Eagle's got a couple precise strats in the stage. You just saw him jump from underneath that elevator while it was going down. That one's actually pretty easy to mess up and lose a lot of time doing, and he might be going for another one here, but I'm not sure. Yeah, he's waiting for it.
Yeah.
That one you lose like 40 seconds if you miss, and it's
yeah, the infamous death kick.
yeah.
So yeah, for Eagle, he's going to automatically start trying to blow X away from him at the start. And he has varying degrees of duration for this move. He could stop doing it immediately and decide to go up and start diving. But we want to see him not leave the screen and start the dives. But if he rises up real slow, he's going to throw out a little ball that spawns some baby eagles, and it looks like we're getting the God Eagle tonight.
Yeah, very nice. Pretty much almost every boss in Mega Man X has a lot of time that you can lose just from getting bad patterns, and Eagle is probably one of the most, if not the most notorious one for that. For every dive he does, you pretty much lose a second because you're waiting for him to come on screen each time he dives past you. But with the Chameleon Sting weapon, it mitigates the RNG in that fight a lot.
Yeah.
So now that he has a Storm Tornado, he can come do Spark Mandrill and kill the mini-boss Thunder Slimer, and a lot of the enemies in the stage that have a lot of hit points. The Storm Tornado deals damage per frame. It's one of the only weapons that can do that. Even I was close there, I almost fell in that pit. But yeah, even a task firing other weapons at auto fire speed only hits every other frame, but that Storm Tornado hits every single frame, so it's a pretty powerful weapon against enemies that have a lot of health.
Pretty decent Thunder Slimer. There's actually two different strats that you can do here. If the Thunder Slimer stays to the ceiling, which is kind of the slower strat, you can use the Storm Tornadoes since it lingers over the boss, so you get more hits. But if he decides to come to the floor, you can actually swap to the boomerang and kill him a little bit faster that way.
Yeah, in between each hit, he has like 10 immunity frames under Slimer.
Yeah.
I believe that Boomerang Cutter and Chameleon Sting do 3 damage.
Yeah.
Storm Tornado only does 1, but you just can't like pump into him when he's on the ceiling like that, so you have to just shoot a tornado at him.
Yeah.
Probably the least random boss in the run, I would say. Oh, besides Chameleon, you can just repeatedly freeze Spark Mandrill over and over.
Yeah.
A little optimization there is Luis starts with a charge shot the same way he did with Chameleon. It doesn't save time on this fight the way it does on Chameleon, but it alternates when Mandrill is frozen and unfrozen on every other shot so that he can end the fight while Mandrill is frozen, which allows him to get in the center of the screen. You'll notice that, well, you might not have noticed it because Luis has ended every fight in the center, but after you kill a boss, X has to slowly walk to the center of the screen before he warps out, so you want to end every fight in the center.
Yeah, that only applies to X1, and X2 and X3 he teleports in play, so that won't matter at all when he gets to the next. In general, I think the mechanics from X2 and X3 are basically the same, since I think they were kind of built from the same engine.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of things similar in X2 and X3 compared to this. So the Flame Mammoth stage, similar to Spark Mandrill, you're going to try to get... he's going to start with, I think, a Dash Lemon, and then he's going to use Storm Tornado. If you fire the Storm Tornado right in front of Mammoth like this, you can actually get 2 hits per shot. And then you're going to see him try to dash into the middle of the room, try to get as much of Mammoth off screen as possible, because that will reduce some lag when the explosions happen. Pretty decent.
Yeah, that's another thing about these games is there's quite a lot of lag on most of the Super Nintendo games, so you want to be reducing it as much as you possibly can. And generally, like anytime there's like explosion sprites on screen, sprites from your weapons, sprites from enemies, the game tends to get bogged down a lot. So anytime you can get that stuff off screen, you want to be able to. And boss explosions is a prime example of that.
So Armadillo is kind of, I want to call it kind of a rest stage, because for most of it, you're riding the minecart through the whole stage. You only have these little intermissions of where you actually have to do movement.
Yeah, the first, like, aside from Mandrill stage and Kawanger stage, the 8 Maverick stages are generally pretty light in the execution department, but heavy in the RNG department. It isn't until you get to the Fortress stages that the difficulty of the run starts to pick up considerably. Most of these stages in the first part of the run are just straightforward, go to the right and jump and shoot.
Yeah, you notice that Luis is jumping forward on the last minecart section. The birds only spawn when you're on the cart and are grounded on the cart. So if you're jumping in front, you just prevent all the bird spawn.
Yeah, which is probably one of the biggest lag reduction strats in the game.
Uh-oh, we're getting rolls. Okay, didn't roll too much. Armadillo can actually roll forever if he wants. I've seen it a few times where you constantly shoot sparks in anticipation of his rolling to stop, only to run completely out of electric spark while he's still going, and it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, you can't take him out. When you take off his armor, after you hit him with, like, the first spark that hits him after his first roll, if he rolls again, you can damage him while he's rolling, but for the first one, you can't take off his armor, so you're just at the mercy of RNG to hope that he comes out of it instantly. But you can do it indefinitely, as far as we know.
Yeah, in world record attempts, you really need a good armadillo, because if he goes a long time, it's basically done, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah, you pretty much need good RNG from most things if you're going for the record in this game, because it's a pretty optimized run as far as, like, the execution goes. Most of the grinding you do at the top echelon of speed running in this game is just playing the lottery for good RNG.
Okay, Luis gets through the subs there without too much trouble. That second one was a little scary, but using the Sea Sting there was probably the best weapon to use. You can't use the Rolling Shield because you have to save that for Launch Octopus.
Yeah. Most of the mini bosses have multiple weaknesses. The subs take extra from Sea Sting and Rolling Shield, but yeah, you need Rolling Shield for Octopus.
So for Octopus, just avoid the missiles and constantly hit him with the Rolling Shield. Octopus can go for the energy drain, which he's doing right here. But you see Luis actually throws himself into it, and he's actually firing with the fire wave. That actually prevents him from getting infinited.
Yeah, so when you when Octopus does that like suction move, he's invulnerable during it, so you saw Luis getting intentionally grabbed by it, and so he could just break out of it, and you break out of it by mashing buttons, but because of the way the math works out, if you decrement the timer for him grabbing onto you on certain frames, like by a certain amount, you can actually underflow the timer and make it go back up to whatever the value is, like 65,000 for the timer, and it you can't get out of it. So using the fire wave there like actually counts for input, since it's shooting every couple of frames.
Yeah, it's constantly firing.
Now we're in the fortress stage, or the first fortress. Oh no!
Oh no!
So there's a glitch there where if you press like a directional input while you're on those moving platforms, you can't dash for a certain number of frames, so you just have to be constantly moving. So since Luis had some movement error there, he didn't hold right long enough to get his dash off there and got a non-dash jump.
And those platforms that you have to use to get up into the fortress itself are moving as well, and if you don't have the dash speed, they're just going to move so far away from you that you can't get back on. It's so unfortunate. But Luis said before he started that he hopes he didn't die to Sigma. Well, that's not a bad death, though.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the stage is not too bad.
Yeah.
So you're seeing some cutscenes stacking here. That's because Luis jumped over a ground trigger that starts the cutscene for Zero to go fight. So now they're all just getting stacked on top of each other, and now he's going to fight Vile. This time for real, and his weakness is Rolling Shield. So he's just going to be trying to hit him as.
Oh man, he took a hit right head on and already lost half his health. And Vile takes 4 damage per Rolling Shield, and the iframes are, I think, half, 30 frames. So
yeah, it's like 20 or 30 frames.
Yeah. So you can land the hits really, really fast.
Yeah.
Now here in this cutscene where Zero officially dies, if you don't have the Buster upgrade, he gives it to you because the game has to give you a way to defeat the final boss should you not have the Rolling Shield.
Yeah. And so since at this stage in the game, the damage values from enemies are kind of balanced around assuming that you would have gotten some hearts and maybe the body armor at this point. But since this is any percent, it's faster to just skip everything. So stuff does a lot of damage, Vile especially, and being at half HP here is pretty dangerous because the next boss, it's pretty easy to take damage on because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of random enemies coming at him, random patterns from the boss.
Yeah, we're gonna see if Luis can possibly get a drop. I don't think he got one, so.
Yeah, doesn't look like it. So this boss, Bow Spider, it's cycle based. Each cycle, she spins a web, and then you know how she's going to go down it because she always crosses over on the horizontal rungs once she gets to them. So as soon as she spins that web, you need to be able to immediately read it and then get into a position where you won't get hit by her. This is made even more difficult because she can throw these babies on the ground like you saw her do right there. So now Luis has to be dodging the babies while dodging the boss and reading her pattern to know where to hit her when she comes down.
Yeah, and the lower you get Bow Spider's health, the faster she goes, so it becomes more chaotic as the fight goes on.
Very nice fight.
Yeah, unless it's almost impossible to get directly in the center of the boss room, just because where the boss can end up, and you have to use the reach of the dash animation and the charged shotgun to actually hit her. All right, Bird Casino, aka Sigma 2.
Yeah, so unlike the other, the classic Mega Man games and the sequel titles in the X games, you fight the boss refights like dispersed throughout the fortress stages. And this stage, the second fortress stage, just happens to have the two of the worst RNG bosses for you. And Penguin here is even worse this time around, even though you have his weakness. While the Fire Wave does more damage to him, well, the charged version of it deals like less damage relative to what the normal version does. So when he does his slide move, when he's immune and you're just charging up, even though you're doing more damage this time around, you're doing less damage relative percentage-wise to what you would be doing if he's not sliding at all compared to the Buster fight. So it is a faster fight, but it's more susceptible to RNG when you have his weakness, if that makes sense. Very nice gap jumps from Luis in that climb. Those ones are, I believe, either frame perfect or 1 to 2 frames, depending on your subpixel values. And Eagle's the exact same fight again. Looks like Luis, getting a god pattern.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty decent Sigma 2. You could play the stage perfectly, and just depending on the boss RNG, you could be like maybe 2 seconds off your gold split or 20 seconds.
Yeah. Ooh, and the last gap jump
Wow.
there, that one's the hardest to get in the game because you have to kick lower on the wall and it's in Lag City. So
now
here,
we
Rain,
Rangda.
we don't want to see green eyes. We want to see red or blue eyes, and we're seeing a lot of green.
Oh, we got the double C sting. I think that's a glitch where he shoots double C sting. Normally, you can only shoot one at a time.
I think that only happens on this fight.
Yeah, I've only seen it on this fight.
Yeah, that was a well-executed fight, but that was about as bad of RNG as you can get because he got a bunch of green eyes at the start, and then Rangda made his nose move. Once his nose moves, you have to like do the rest of the fight with the walls closed in like that. Now on to Sigma 3, we're going to see him go for a skip here, actually, the armadillo. Very nice, he got it. Yeah, the way that works is basically the trigger to pan your camera up is right there before the boss door where he was putting that ice sled. And then when he plopped the ice sled down, it like zipped him into the door past the trigger and the camera never panned up. And well, bosses in this game, they spawn based on your camera position, not your player position. So as long as you never pan that camera up as you're going through the room, Armadillo spawns from the ceiling. So if you never see the ceiling in that room, he never spawns. And then it just, once you get to a certain point in the room, it sees that Armadillo is not spawned, the fight's not active, and then it opens the door for you. You don't have to fight him.
Yeah. You can actually spawn Armadillo past his room if you jump too soon as you proceed towards Chameleon. So it's something to watch out for.
Yeah, and his sprite gets all glitched out and stuff.
So through all that explanation, he finished off Chameleon, very straightforward. Most of these fights, well, actually all of them are going to be just like their initial fights. And if Luis takes any substantial damage, there is a health refill before each of the refight.
Yeah, that one you saw in the water up there can just be easily boomer. That's one of the nice things about the boomerang is that you can use it to pick up health and upgrades and stuff.
Yep. So it looks like we're getting more energy drains from Octopus. Okay, we only got one so far. So when Octopus starts to do the charge torpedoes, they actually home in on you. You can actually kind of manipulate them a little bit by starting away from him and then kind of getting in close, and you can get the torpedoes to kind of do a little circle around X.
But when Luis isn't going for the health, doing the man mode strats.
Yeah.
I think depending on what attack it is, Drex, the fight at the end of the stage, can either one-shot him or two-shot him, so... And it's,
I think he might get one-shotted if he gets crushed, I think. But, hopefully we won't see that.
Yeah. I forget what the damage values are, but the bosses in the fortresses do an insane amount of damage when you're have no hearts, no body armor.
Yeah, and no sub-tanks to heal yourself either.
Yeah.
So you're going to see Luis shoot these boomerangs. If you're shooting a boomerang as you're jumping upward, the boomerang is going to curl along with the direction of your jump. And if you fire it as you're descending, it'll curl downward. Ooh, okay. He had just enough. Woo, that was close. He might have been at 9 HP.
Yeah, I guess.
Because he takes 8 from a bonk there.
I think it was the like plasma ball thing that hit him.
Okay.
Wait.
So the first phase of the dog here, Nero developed a pretty sick strat. to where the dog will just stand right in front of you, and hopefully you can just shoot shotgun ice into him.
Yeah, the dog's weakness is shotgun ice, but he has really short iframes like Vile. But because the ice ricochets after you hit, that was a really nice fight. Because the ice ricochets and you can't have 2 shots of it on screen at the same time, you need to wait for it to pass off the screen. So we had to kind of map out that fight in such a way that you would get the ricochet off the screen as quickly as possible by either hitting him when he's up against the wall or using your buster when he's far away.
And then the second phase here, you just stick to the wall, and the electric spark, once it hits the wall, it's going to split and go down the side and like that. If you actually shoot the electric spark too far into the wall, it won't even touch Sigma at all. So it's kind of a strategic placement of the shot while staying out of range of his climbing there.
So on to the final fight, Belgard or Sigma. If you did this fight casually, you probably just stood in the center of the room and dodged his attack, shot him with a fully charged buster shot. Luis got some bad RNG there with that instant lightning from the left claw.
That's close. Scary.
2 hits and you're dead in this fight no matter what.
Right.
So very nice,
GG.
32 points.
Very nice time. 32 with a death. Very nice. That will look scary there toward the end, but he got through.
That was a really good last fight. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was a great run by Luis, but we're not done because Luis is doing the trifecta. He's doing X1, X2, X3. And Hetfield and Justin, are you staying on for both of those?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, we're doing all 3 games.
All right, so we're going to take a very short break, just be like a couple of minutes, and then we'll be right back for X2. So stick around.